My freeloader brother who moved in years ago and still hasn't found a job, now demands a separate room for his girlfriend. He slapped my wife when she refused, and now our parents are taking his side because he's family. Until I showed everyone a secret video. My wife, Naomi, and my brother don't get along. Imagine the nightmare when he had to come live with me, even if it was just for a few weeks. They were constantly at each other's throats. I couldn't take it and kicked them out after 2 weeks. I'll get into what exactly happened, but now my parents are calling me up, saying they gave me the house as a wedding gift and can take it back since their names are still on it. I didn't even know that. Little did I know my life was about to turn to hell, all because of my wife, my brother, and my crazy parents. I just don't understand what kind of sins I've unknowingly committed to receive this kind of punishment. For the past few months, life inside my home has been a living hell. I don't mean to blame anyone, but I feel like even though I have such a nice and happy life, I can't find peace in my own home. Let me elaborate. I'm Neo, 36, and I have a great job. If you ignore the problem above, you'll notice that I have a very happy life. I live with my beautiful wife, Naomi, a really cute son, Ain, and my younger brother, Greg. Obviously, my life isn't all sunshine and rainbows, and I have problems, but most are minor. We're doing pretty well financially, so I think it's fair to assume I do have a happy little life. The big problem in my life is actually something that's very common in everyone else's: family drama. The kind of thing that happens between relatives or siblings where they fight about stupid stuff, knowing they can't declare a winner. I didn't know there could be a loser in battles like these, but I am one. Every time a fight breaks out in my house, the only person who loses is me, and probably Ben. We lose our peace and happiness while others gain nothing. I don't like drama, and I moved out early in my life because I couldn't take my parents fighting over stupid stuff. I understand that fights happen in relationships and are not something that can be avoided, but I've always learned that there are other ways of arguing. I learned that we could just speak to each other and settle our differences without causing each other problems. I've learned that if two people have love for each other, then they can fight and it can easily be solved. But that wasn't the case with my parents, and they probably never divorced because of me and my brother. I still had to leave Greg with them because I couldn't take it. I knew he could handle drama a lot better than me. Genuinely, some days I wish they would have gotten a divorce. At one point, things got so bad that I was thinking of breaking my own parents up myself. This probably gives you an idea of how much I hate drama. So, after I built a life for myself, I got married to Naomi because she was the most perfect person I have ever seen, and she definitely didn't like arguing either. We developed a great system to avoid petty fights, and things were happily ever after until about last year. One day, my parents called me and told me they were thinking of sending my brother to live with me since he was not able to find substantial work. I live in a whole other state. They really thought it would be better for my brother to move here. This probably gives you the idea that I live very far away from them, am I right? Wonder what could be the reason behind it? Oh, don't worry, I do visit them all the time. I still love them and my little brother, but he just can't handle their bickering. This was because my brother had been in several different jobs, but nothing was landing. I imagine he was probably taking it very hard on himself because he still lived with our parents and was dependent on them financially. I also sent him money from time to time, so I felt it was appropriate for him to try a different location. I spoke with Naomi, who was a little skeptical because she wasn't a big fan of my brother. She always told me that because I had left early, my parents softened up Greg too much, and he got used to getting pampered like a little baby. When I discussed this with her, she said it would do him better to live in a small room or share an apartment and struggle. This would teach him a lot about what life is actually like. Now, this should have been a huge clue that they probably wouldn't mix well, but I never even registered it in my head. Do you know why? Well, obviously because I have a caveman brain. I love her, I love him, and they both love each other, but now I've learned that it's not how it works. Reluctantly, my wife agreed, believing that he actually needed our help and that staying here would make him better. I also told her that we wouldn't pamper him at all and that he was going to learn to work here. My brother was very happy to move in, and for about a few months, everything was okay. My brother was looking for a job and helped around whenever he was in the house. I had peace whenever I came home, and I and my son were enjoying that peace, not knowing that it wasn't going to last very long. Slowly, when my wife realized that Greg had gone to too many interviews without landing a job, she started to realize that he was just here to stay. I knew this because I realized the same thing a few weeks ahead of her and had a conversation with Greg. Like I said, he does love me and I love him, so he spoke honestly, like I had demanded. He said that he did join one company but didn't like the job, and he had about 10 different reasons for every job that he got. I explained to him that life is hard and he needs to focus because doing this is not really going to help him. He told me that he intends to do that, but he needs a little more time to find a job that he would love to do. I knew that I was just enabling him to be lazy, but what can I say? I really do care about him and want him to do something he loves because he has the luxury of waiting. So, I didn't tell my wife, but she realized nonetheless. And as soon as she complained to me, I told her that I spoke to him. Then, as my brother got lazier, her complaints started increasing. When she realized that I was actually protecting him, she stopped telling me and started taunting him. She didn't say anything too serious, she would just throw these typical jabs his way for not working or paying rent. It was more like playful jokes. My brother just normally blew it off, but it started to annoy him. Well, how do I know? Because he started to tell me. Now, I had to stay fair and square and stay out of this because I didn't want to get in between them. But about a month ago, things started getting serious. Naomi started slowly increasing the intensity of her jabs, and my brother slowly started firing back. It was a boxing match. She would subtly hint that he should start looking after himself, and he would slowly hint that she was getting fat. Oh boy, that sent her over the deep end. It started taking more and more effort to stay out of the stuff, and when I had to take sides, I had to take crap from one person or the other. And obviously, The one I didn't side with didn't agree. If I agreed with my wife, my brother would get mad, and vice versa. As I explained earlier, the only person losing in this battle was me, but I still believed it was fun and games until yesterday, when crap hit the fan. Greg finally woke up and came to the table. I finished eating and went to the kitchen to wash up and then to my room to grab my bag. Right as I was coming out, I heard bickering. It turns out Greg told Naomi that he did not want to eat this crap pancake for breakfast, which made her iron grate. Oh well. So she told him to earn his own money, live in his own damn house, and buy his own damn breakfast. Which made him so mad he told her to shut the hell up and called her a fat cow. At which point she lost it. She told him that he was worse than a leech because he had no purpose in life and her only wish was for him to either go off his lazy butt and get a job and leave this house and her family in peace. She said that the only thing holding him back was to support and if it were for her he would be sleeping outside. At which point Greg gets mad. Then he crossed the line, boy oh boy. He called her a characterless, spineless, worthless woman and all sorts of other names of a wife who did not deserve a husband like him. He told her that she lived for free on my money and that she was the one who needed to get out. Oh, I only heard part of it. So I came out seeing red and would have punched Greg if I had not seen my wife on the verge of tears. This kind of took my anger away immediately. It was gone. And right then Greg realized what he had done. He could not look me in the eyes and I asked him how dare he say this to her and asked him to get the hell out of here for the day. He went out and my wife cried for almost half an hour. She obviously immediately wanted him out and still does. And the decision is left up to me. Well, my brother has called and apologized, but only to me and is coming home tonight. I told my wife that he would apologize to her, but she does not care about that because she knew that I would force him to do so. My brother is pleading that it was just a bad reaction due to his anger and also because one of the things my wife said. He says that he's not going to apologize to my wife but will never say anything of the sort to her for me. My wife just wants him out. I mean, what do? Do I kick my brother out for this when I know that he did not mean it? I know he made a horrible mistake, but kicking him out is a little harsh. I don't know what I'm going to do, but no matter what he will have to apologize to my wife first and then we'll see what happens. So please guys, leave me a few suggestions on how I should resolve these issues. Update number 1. Hey guys, it's me. I'm here for the update. It's been almost a week since the last post and I just believe that I ended up making a mistake, but it was not like I had a choice either. If you remember my original post, the only thing I wanted was to maintain peace between my wife and my brother, but as soon as I realized that this was not an option, I saw many people judging me for not being mad at Greg for saying those horrible things to my wife. And you're wrong. See, I was really mad at him and the only reason I asked him to go out was so that I would not break his face. When he called me, he genuinely apologized and explained that it was a stupid thing to say in a fit of rage. I also knew that he would never knowingly hurt her like that. I chose to believe that Greg did not intend to hurt her and it was more like a bad reaction to the things that he said, which were also hurtful. As I already mentioned in my post, I had no intention of throwing my brother out of the house as I truly believe that he had not done this just to hurt her, Naomi. On the other hand, she was ready to reject the apology right then and there, which he was not even agreeing to give. Me and my son were the only ones left to deal with the fallout of this problem. So I spoke with my brother and made sure that he knew what not apologizing would mean. I asked him to apologize to my wife and beg for forgiveness, which he rejected. I then scolded him and made sure that he was going to apologize before he showed up at the house. Greg agreed to apologize and I made sure that my wife would not kill him as soon as he showed up. He showed up late in the evening and in front of me and my wife apologized to me for his behavior. My wife was still mad and was waiting to hear what he was going to say to her. Surprisingly, Greg apologized to Ben and told him that he should have been a better uncle to him. Then he started walking to his room. I just stopped him and asked, well, to do what he needed to do. He then refused to apologize to Naomi and said that he didn't care what she wanted from him. I couldn't believe that he was doing this to me after everything I've done. So I screamed at him to stop it. I told him I was going to give him 2 options, either sincerely apologize to my wife or I have to throw him out of the house now. Greg knows me pretty well, but he somehow came to the conclusion that today was the day I started throwing out empty threats. He said that he was not going to apologize to the elephant right there. Oh, and I lost it. I dragged him out of the house, threw out his stuff, and told him not to show up again. He waited for a few hours for me to change my mind, but left eventually. It's been a few days since that and I've started to feel bad about it. I feel like I caused this by trying to make peace when I should have given them some time. Did I make a mistake by doing this? Also, somehow this news has not reached my parents yet. And when it does, it will not be very pretty. Update number 2. Hey guys, it's been almost 2 weeks and things have gotten considerably worse. Honestly, I never imagined that things could go this wrong. I know you guys are probably confused as to what happened. Well, in short, I was forced to do something that's made our lives way worse. Also, my brother has turned into a complete a-hole. So if you remember my last update, I kicked my brother out and was feeling bad about it, but I do not feel bad anymore. Not at all. Let me break it down. I regret ever letting him into the house in the first place, but as you'll understand while reading this update, it looks like I actually did not have a choice in the first place. So a few days after my last post, I get a call from my parents and obviously they had found out about what happened. Greg had not lied and told them the entire story from the front to the back. And they wanted me to take him in. I asked them if they had not understood the last part where he refused to apologize to my wife. And they didn't care. They said that he did make a mistake and admitted it and even got punished for it by getting kicked out. So according to them, staying at his friend's place for a week was enough punishment and I needed to take him in now. Now, I was not unreasonable with him and told them that even though I wanted him home, he was being way too stuck. I clearly explained to them that I could not let him in unless he apologized to Naomi and forcing him in was going to hurt my marriage. I've always known that my parents are not as fond of my wife as I would like them to be, but I never expected them to so easily disregard her feelings. They said that I had to let him in and that my wife needed to adjust her behavior. And if she stayed quiet and did not complain, nothing would happen. I was so shocked and asked them how dare they say that about my wife. She wanted to help him and that they care. Well, is the reason that she's so mad at him then? My parents did something I never expected from them. They said that they were not asking, they were telling me to let Greg in. Well, I asked them what they would do if I didn't. And they said that either I would let him in or they would do it themselves. Yeah, meaning that they would force me and my family out and let him in. They can do it, because the house is technically still theirs. They kind of gave it to me and I got married, but I never really took complete ownership because I didn't care about owning the house. I wanted to make my own in a few years anyways. But I did not believe this was our house and I didn't think it was a loan that they could just take back when they were mad. So I get upset and I tell them that they're doing something unfair and that they were taking back something that they gave to me. They said that Greg was being treated unfairly too and they would never ask for anything else. They even apologized for forcing me, but that did not matter. Naomi was really mad but understood what had to be done. A few days ago, Greg made his return. It turns out he didn't take my kicking him out very well and was mad at me for choosing my wife over him. I told him he was only here because our parents forced me, but that didn't mean he got to insult my wife. He said I didn't need to worry about that and completely cut both of us off. The only person he talks to is Ben, a child. Things have escalated to a whole new level of tension because my wife clearly doesn't want him here, and he's only here because she doesn't want him. My wife has asked me to kick him out any way possible. So what do? It feels like I'm living in an absolute war zone. I'm scared of a bomb that could drop at any time, causing mayhem. Please help me. Update number 3, another week has passed, and you guys are not going to believe what happened. I've kicked him out of the house and I'm ready to face any kind of consequences I get. Let me tell you what he did over the next few days. The situation remained the same, and I kept trying to think of a solution to all of this, but there was none. I couldn't kick my brother out and neither could I move right now. So we were kind of stuck in a stalemate. It wasn't peaceful, but compared to the situation now, it was like a vacation. Yesterday, I had a mini heart attack when my wife called me right in the middle of the day, crying and telling me to come home as soon as possible. I can't explain to you how fast I drove. I mean, I almost didn't even remember it. That's how fast it was. I was worried that something big had happened between Greg and her, and what I learned when I reached there. Oh man, gave me uncontrollable anger. My wife told me that she had gotten into another argument with Greg when he tried to take Ben out for the day and she refused. They went for another round of hurtful comments, and this time she won. I don't know what she said, but I know she won because Greg got so mad that he slapped her and went to his room. She was crying and was scared for her safety. I couldn't believe it. I immediately burst through Greg's room like the police and punched him. He fell on the floor, and I pulled him up, but he refused to look at me. I asked him why he would do this to her, but he was silent. So I dragged him out, threw him out, and asked him to never ever come here again. Then I threw his stuff out again, consoled Ben and Naomi, and then I got busy. Ah, surprise surprise, my parents are calling, and this time I was happy to talk to them. I believed that they would understand this, but they outright refused to believe me. They asked if I saw what happened with my own eyes, and I said I knew what happened. They said that I trust my wife too much. They believed that my wife lied about the slap because she wanted them out of the house and thought that they would buy it. They refused to believe that their younger son could do something like this and asked my wife to apologize to him. Well, I declined and told them that I would rather leave the house and listen to another one of their stupid demands. Well, today they gave me a week to move out. And if I don't want to listen to them or provide some proof of the incident. Now since proof isn't something I can just magically poof appear. We have to move out eventually, right? Right now, I just don't want to think about it, and I'm hoping that Greg is going to come clean, which is a stupid thing to hope for. Final update, hey guys, I just had to update you really badly. It's been a few days, but for the first time, I do have good news. Well, no, I didn't convince my parents out of sheer willpower and love, and neither did my brother confess. Also, they didn't suddenly have a change of heart and started liking Naomi to the point where they believed me. The person who gave me proof was actually Ben, the accidental genius. I know it's confusing. A few days ago, I told you he didn't see it, and it's true he didn't. But his toys did. Oh yeah, one of them showed me what happened. And I know I probably sound like a madman, but this was the best way to explain it. So stay with me. A few months ago, Greg taught Ben how to cartwheel, and he's been practicing it ever since. He can only do it perfectly once in a blue moon. I mean, me too, but he's managed to show both Greg and Naomi his perfect cartwheel once each, but he hasn't been able to show me because of it. Well, he kept complaining and complaining that he needs to record it to show me. Now, this little boy cleverly used this opportunity to ask me for a phone, which I immediately declined because I don't have a phone when I was his age, and I grew up just fine. But he kept on going and annoying me, and I one day decided to get him something. I got him Ollie, yeah, Ollie. See, Ollie is a bit of a special toy because he's also a recorder. He's a rabbit. The rabbit is kind of a cheap camera. It's like 720p. It works well enough to shoot my son's cartwheels, and it was super cheap on Temu. It also wears a doctor coat, and the camera lens looks like the button of the white coat. It's not really a hidden camera, but it's not necessarily obvious. So I taught my son how to use it without explaining too much. I just explained to start the button here and stop it here, and you just upload a little SD card, and you can jack the battery. It lasts for over 2 hours. And Ben stopped complaining, so I forgot about it until the very day of the update. So I was racking my brain, thinking what I was going to do, when I found Ollie lined up exactly in the place where Ben keeps it to record. It gave me an idea. At first, I only wanted to trick my brother into telling the truth by lying about the footage, but life had other plans. When I asked when Ben last recorded anything, he said that he was recording when they were fighting. He saw my face lined up like a light bulb, but he couldn't understand. I hugged him and called him a genius, so he was pretty happy. And I immediately took a look and found the footage. It had no sound and wasn't very clear, 720p, but I had what I needed. I called my parents, told them the truth, and sent them the video. They were devastated and couldn't believe it, but they had too. A few hours later, my brother called me, begging to tell them that I lied because he was getting cut out of the family and offered to apologize to my wife. I told him he had gotten enough chances and his apology was too little too late. He came later to the house, but I refused to even let him in. I told him I've had enough of him and that he needs to learn a lesson. Well, my parents cut him off and apologized to me, and I have no idea where Greg went off to. I just know that he's homeless. He's penniless, so it can't be that far. I feel bad for him, but unfortunately, this time, this is all I'm doing for him. He needs to get out of this himself. He did this to himself. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. And now, hopefully, I can live in peace.